So last class we have completed couple of more features of Python, right? Okay, so let's start the fifth one. Interpreted programming language. Okay, Python is also known as what? Interpreted programming language. Why so? Can anyone answer it? What is the
It is,
meaning of interpretation?
sir, line by line checking, sir.
Line by line. Good. Okay. So first of all, we will talk about the naming convention of this. Naming convention. Naming convention. What is the naming convention for this? Sorry.
Variable names.
So Python Python programs are saved with the py extension dot py dot py extension. Okay, so whenever you are going to save the file of Python, you have to use the extension called dot py. Okay, extension. For example, if you are writing your file name, let's say file name, it should be dot py when you are saving it. Okay, let's talk about the internal process now. Internal process of this. Okay, let's do one thing. I'll show you one pictorial representation of this. So yeah, let's go for it. Let's say you are creating. Let's say you are creating a web. Sorry, an source code. Okay, what is source code? The
మనం
source
రాసిన
code which the program. Okay, the code what we write. Okay, that is known as source code. For example, let's suppose this code name is, okay, the source code name is something like example dot py. Okay, this example dot py is nothing but a source code. Okay, so let me write here, it is a source code. Am I clear? So this is going to be the source code here. Okay, and once we write the source code is getting compiled first. Okay, the source code is getting compiled first. Let me use this. Once we write the source code is getting compiled first. After completing of, or after writing the source code, it is getting compiled first. Then, okay, let me check this. Right. Now, after compilation, okay, after compilation, where it is going to come? It is going to become, the source code is going to become a byte code. Okay, source code is going to become what? Byte code. So I can say it is a byte code. This is a byte code. Let's do it here. This is going to be a byte code here. Okay. Next, after this, once my source code became byte code, okay, now what is the next thing? First of all, let me talk about the compilation process. This is known as what? Compilation process. And this compilation process always do two things. Okay, two things. First, it checks for the error. What type of error? It checks for the syntax error.
syntax.
Okay, it always checks for the syntax error. Now what is syntax error? When we when who occurs this, who actually creates the syntax error? Programmer. Okay, those who write the particular program, they create the syntax error here. Okay, so for example, let me keep it something like this. This is compilation process. Two things we need to understand here. Compilation process is not about only compilation. It also does one more thing. Okay, what is the second task of compiler? That to convert the source code into a byte code.
Good.
In between of conversion itself, it it checks for the syntax. Okay, whether the syntax is running properly or syntax is followed or not. Okay, if it is not followed, then what it is going to give? It is going to give us
R.
error. Okay, now this, let's suppose this, after conversion of source code into byte code, this byte code will become what?
Dot class.
This byte code,
Bytecode generates dot class files, sir.
okay, example dot pyc, it is going to convert it. Okay, compiled version of this particular source code. Is it understandable? Yes, for everyone. Is it understandable what it is doing? First, we whatever we are writing, it is getting converted into byte code. In which format? Dot pyc extension. Okay, conversion of source code, that is dot py, into byte code, that is dot pyc. Understood? Is it clear up to now? Okay,
Once again,
next
repeat,
thing.
sir.
See, basically what it does is the source code is nothing but what we write, whatever the code we give to the compiler, or we can say whatever the code we write in Python software. What the code we have written, there is a term called compiler is there. We also call it as Python compiler. Okay, and the task of Python compiler is two tasks we have for Python compiler. One is to check for the error. What type of error? Syntax error. Okay, and second task is what? To convert source code into what? Byte code. That too, here every process is going to be is going to be let me write it here. Every process, it is going to be a line by line process. Line by line process. Okay, every process are going to be a line by line process. Understood? Clear it is?
Yes, sir.
This also, it is going to be a line by line process. Next, so after conversion of byte code, where it is going to do, or what it is going to do, this is also known as what? Intermediate code. Intermediate code we cannot understand. What we have written there, that only we can understand here, right? After this, what it is going to do, this byte code, okay, this byte code is now will go to the PVM. Okay, we'll go to what? There is a term. Hmm. So there is a term called PVM. For example, let's say mm, I'll take this. So here it is a PVM. What is PVM? Python virtual machine. Okay,
Virtual machine.
Python virtual machine. Right? What does this PVM do? First of all, let me talk about this particular thing. What this, see here, it is also known as what? Intermediate, intermediate, intermediate process. Okay, this is known as what? Intermediate process. So let's keep it. Hmm. So this is what intermediate process. After this conversion of bytecode, where it is this bytecode is going to come, it is going to come to the PVM. Now what PVM does, and try to understand this now. Let's keep this itself. PVM converts, let's keep it quite larger. See, after all this process, what it does, PVM converts the source code, sorry, converts bytecode into machine understandable code. Okay, what is machine understandable code? Binary code. Okay, binary, we can't understand it. Okay, machine understandable code, and then process it to operating system and processor for the further result, result. Am I clear with this? What it does? First, we take the source code. Okay, we take the source code. That means we write the source code. This source code is going to come to what? Compiler, Python compiler. Python compiler then will check for the error. If any syntax error is there, immediately it is going to show to the console. If not, then what it is going to do? It is going to convert this source code into what? Bytecode. Then this bytecode, PVM will come to the picture, and PVM will do what? It converts bytecode into machine understandable code and then process it to operating system and processor for the further result. Am I clear? Okay,
Yes,
and
sir.
this is known as, here we call it as execution process. Execution process. We call it as execution process. Clear? Okay, here also, that too, one thing I forgot to write here. PVM converts bytecode into machine understandable code line by line. Okay, one thing I forgot to write here. What it is? Converts, just give me a moment. Okay, you try to understand it. Okay, what it is? PVM converts bytecode into machine understandable code line by line and then process it to operating system. Is it clear? Okay, process it to operating system and processor for the further result. That too, here also I will write pvm works pvm works line by line. Okay, PVM works line by line. Also, if you check here, all these things, all these process are getting done, and this is also this here in this particular thing also. If you check, this particular execution process also getting done line by line. Everything works line by line here. Okay, nothing at a time. That's why we call it as what? Interpretation process. We call it as interpretation process. What is interpreter? Which works line by line, or which runs the code line by line, not whole at a time. If I talk about other programming languages, okay, if I talk about other programming languages like C, C++, Java, right? There we have compiler. Uh-huh. It runs whole program at once, or we can say it also checks for the error at a time. That means if I have 50 line of code, and if I'm getting 10 error over there, it is going to show all 10 error at a time. Okay, and that is kind of a disadvantage as well. Now in this case, what it does, first we need to solve, or first we need to avoid that particular error or solve the error, then only we can go for the further block of code. Understood? That means it runs line by line of code. It cannot give us the error at whole at a time. In one go it does not give. Understood? Okay, let me ask you this online.
Sir.
Are you able to understand this? Yes.
Yes, sir.
And this process is known as what? Interpretation process, or I would say interpretation based programming. Am I clear? This is known as what? Interpretation programming. Let me do one thing now. Okay, did you understand this concept? Okay, okay, let me explain you one more time, one last time. Okay, what it does, first we write the source code. Okay, once we write the source code, then after writing the source code, where it is coming? To the Python compiler. It is not like Python compiler is there, then that means Python is a compiler based language. No, Python compiler does what? It checks for the syntax error. And what is syntax error? See, there are difference between different error and syntax error. We have so many errors like compile time error, or we can also call it as syntax error, we call it as runtime error, and we can call it as logical error. Okay, three types error we have. Now what is compile time error? That means which occurs during compilation process. Runtime error, which occurs during execution process. And logical error occurs because of wrong logic. Okay, wrong logic. So those are different things, but why we are calling it as compilation process, and why compiler only checks for syntax error? What is syntax here? I have told you about this, right? What is syntax error here? What is syntax error? Initial days only I have told you about this.
The
See,
programmer who
huh, syntax error are nothing but when a programmer does not follow the rules while writing the program. Okay, if he avoids following the rules, okay, I'll give you the example. So compilation process, okay, or compiler we say. Python compiler task, two tasks we have for Python compiler. Python compiler task one is to check for the syntax error. Syntax are nothing but set of rules. What set of rules? While writing the code, we need to follow the rules. Okay, the rule could be anything. The rule could be predefined rule. Okay, obviously it is predefined rule. Predefined rule in the sense the programmer, they have already defined it. The developer, Python software developer, they have
Mhm.
already defined all the rules in our system or Python software. What we need to do, we need to follow it. So if a programmer is not following those kind of rules, it will lead to what? Syntax error. Understood? Okay, execution error, logical error, I will tell you later on. Okay, I will tell you later on. Now you need to understand, once we write the source code is coming to what? Python compiler for the syntax error check. Okay, for what? Syntax error check. Next, after completion of compilation process, this compiler does what? It converts the source code into what? Bytecode here. Convert source code into bytecode. Once this bytecode once this source code converted into bytecode, here this bytecode extension would be pyc. When it comes to module, I will tell you and I will show you this .pyc file. Normally we cannot see it, but in module I will show you. Okay, it creates a compilation process extension. Okay, next, this exe.py has been converted into exe.pyc. This bytecode then, and it is also intermediate process. We also call it as intermediate process. Okay. After this .pyc file, PVM will come to the picture and will convert this bytecode into what? Machine understandable code line by line, not whole at a time. This is also PVM does what? Converts the bytecode into machine understandable code line by line. Okay, I forgot to write it here, so I have written something like something here. Let me point it out. Okay. So PVM works line by line. Okay. Next, after this, where it is going to do, what it is going to do, process it to operating system and the processor for the further result, or the further process also you can say. Am I clear? Is it clear? This picture is clear? Okay. Let's now talk about the internal process of this. What is the internal process for this? Okay. Let's talk about two types of, see, basically when we talk about internal process, here also we have two types of thing: compilation and execution. Okay. In compilation, let's talk about first the compilation. Let's talk about the compilation first. The Python source code source code is checked for syntax error, okay, or syntax errors we can say, by the Python compiler. Okay, right? If no error founds, what it is going to convert? it's
Source
it
code to
converts
mission.
yeah, it converts source code source code into bytecode bytecode. And when I talk about source code, it is what? Dot py. And when I talk about bytecode, it is what? Dot
PYC.
pyc. Am I clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, error. are displayed on the console, okay, if it exists, if it exists. Am I clear? That means if any kind of error are there, then it is going to display on the console. Understood? Okay, right. Next process is what? Execution process. What execution process does here? Check it. This is execution process. Converts the byte code into machine understandable code and process it to the operating system, right? So I'll write something like the Python virtual machine, virtual machine, that is known as what? PVM. Hmm. Reads the line by line of code, line by line of byte code, byte code, and convert it into what? Machine, into machine understandable code. Clear? Okay. Then this code, this code is then interpret interpreted, okay, interpreted by the OS and the processor, okay, to produce what? Just now I have told you, produce result, okay, to produce the result, produce the final result, I can say, a result. Clear? Any doubt? No? Yeah, last class you guys have attended, right? Okay, you have gone through the videos? No? No issues. Now let's talk about the third. Okay, the thing
Sir,
first we have seen. Go ahead.
sir, this process is done interpreter.
Hmm.
Te-
Sorry.
Sir, uh, compiler inside interpreter.
I did not get you.
Sir, Telugu.
No, no, I don't Telugu. Yeah, go ahead. I'll try to understand. Go ahead one more time.
Sir, Python is a interpreted language, ka, sir.
Python is an interpreted programming language.
But compiler,
There is,
where is the
see, that's what there is only compiler, and the work of compiler is to check for the error and conversion of source code into byte code. It is not a compiler based language, it is a interpreted based language. But there also, for checking of error and conversion of source code into byte code, we have Python compiler. Okay, not external compiler it is. Understood? Yes.
okay, sir.
Huh. What's your good name?
Shankar.
Shankar. Okay, Shankar. Fine. Clear? Okay. Now let's talk interpreted in or interpretation process, interpretation based language, we can say language. Python is what? One of the interpretation based language. Okay. Python's Python's execution involves converting, or I would say involves a line by line of conversion process. Already we have seen it. Yes. Okay. And what it aims, what it makes, making it one of the interpretation based language. Am I clear? Interpretation based language. Let's talk about what is PVM here. Python virtual machine. Python virtual machine. Okay. Now what is Python virtual machine here? What it does? The PVM, the PVM, it's a basically it's a part of the Python software. Okay, it is a part of the, okay, and what it does, reads the bytecode line by line, okay, and convert it into machine understandable code. Is it clear? Okay, this is known as what? Interpretation based programming language. And Python is what? An interpretation based language. So first what it does, I want to know from everyone. First what it does, it takes the source code, then bytecode. Who converts? Compiler,
Company.
Python compiler. Okay, next, what is the two task of Python compiler?
Check the syntax
Check
The
the
errors.
syntax
syntax
error.
error.
Good. And second is
Source code to convert source
It
code to
source
converts source
code
machine
to
code to byte.
bytecode. Okay, people are saying here also, so I cannot. Yeah.
Sir,
And huh,
sir,
Shankar.
doubt.
Go ahead.
Bytecode and machine code same, not same.
Bytecode and machine code, no, they are not same basically. Okay, they are not same. Let me show you how bytecode looks. Okay, let me show you how bytecode looks so that you can understand what actually bytecode is. So when you create a module, okay, when you create a module, automatically there is a PyCache folder is being created. Okay, and here if you check, C Python is there. Okay, C Python .pyc compiled Python version. Okay, now if I open this, you can't be able to understand it. Okay, let's say let's try to open it somewhere. First of all, I think we can't open it. Even if you try it, yeah, let's go for it. Are you able to understand what it is? Are you able to understand what it is? This is what the
No, sir.
bytecode is. Okay, and sorry, and after converting source code into bytecode, this is known as the bytecode. Now this PVM will come and will check for the bytecode and will convert this bytecode into what? Machine
Machine code.
understandable code. What is machine understandable code?
Zero
Binary
ones.
code, 0 and 1. Is it clear now, Shankar?
Yes, sir. Sir, dot where will generate dot class file? Bytecode and the dot class file same
What the dot class?
file. Compiler PYC generates dot class file का sir.
Where I have explained dot class by?
Hey, someone told me, so I asked.
Acha, dot class file you want. Are we working with classes now?
Yes, sir.
When we work with class, then you ask the question, okay?
Okay. In Java dot class file.
Now then,
Python.
uh, uh, Shiva, sorry, Shankar it is, right?
Okay, sir. Okay.
You do one thing. If you are getting doubt like this, you just mention it somewhere. Okay, you note it down somewhere, and at the last of the class, you ask me the question. That would be good, right? Because if
Okay.
people ask like this, then it will take more time to clarify it. Okay,
Okay.
we need to go bit faster as well. Okay.
Okay.
Huh. So if you get any doubt, you just point it out somewhere, note it down, and you go ahead later on. Okay. Okay. Let's go for the sixth one. Sixth one we call it as high level programming. Python is a high level programming language. Okay. Python is one of the high level programming language. What does it mean? Easy to understand. That is the meaning of high level. Huh. Do you know?
Hum- Human
Shankar?
friendly,
What it is?
human friendly language.
Acha, human friendly language. Only Shankar is answering here. Nobody else are answering here. What is the reason behind this? We have almost 12, 13 members we have. And only Shankar is able to answer. Only Shankar has the courage. Hmm. So high level programming language. Let's talk about it first. So whatever we speak, okay, whatever we speak, can system understand what we speak? Can the system understand what we speak? No, right? Because basically from the starting when this particular system has created, okay, the first computer has created. From there itself, people started feeding the system what the language. Okay, from there itself they have started developing different types of languages, different types of tools, so that system can understand it properly, easily, and then make it or give it the result, right? So whenever we write a program somewhere in any programming language, what it does, how system get to know about it, already we have seen it. What it does, it checks for the, there are some table, okay, already feeded in our system, and that table is known as ASCII table. Okay, that ASCII table has each and every character has its own decimal value. That decimal value has its own binary value. Okay, so it is a process, conversion of one the human understandable language into what, machine understandable language. Are you getting it? So Python is kind of a high level language, which even though we give any kind of low level language, what are the low level language?
Zero ones.
Binary is a low level language. Okay, there are two more we have. Octal is a low level language. Hexadecimal is a low level language. Understood? Binary used for what? Binary used for
level
machine
language.
understandable code. Octal and hexadecimal, sometimes they used for storing the memory in particular address. To create the address, we use what? Hexadecimal. Okay, so later on I will tell you what this hexadecimal mean and how it works in Python. Okay, so even though if you give any low level language for to Python, it can easily be able to convert those low level language into what, again, high level language. Okay, let me show you what it is basically. So in basically in programming languages, or I would say there are there are two types of two types of programming languages. Programming languages. What they are? First
Static,
is low level. No, no, no. Low level programming. Okay, language, you say language, and second is high level programming. Low level and high level programming. Let's talk about first. I'll go for low level programming language. Okay, which includes the concepts like binary, octal, and hexadecimal. Okay, are you able to understand? So I would say in these languages, in these languages, okay, we use lower level data. What is lower level data? Or lower level data representation, I would say. We represent the data in low level. What are they? Like binary, binary, okay, octal, and
hexadecimal, hexadecimal,
uh, hexadecimal. Okay, hexadecimal. These kind of representation are belongs to what? Low level programming language. Okay, for example, let's say something like, if I'm giving something like a is equals to, or let's say first I will say let's talk about binary first. A is equals to 0b 1010001001. Are you able to understand it? What it is?
no sir,
Are you able to understand? Even though if you try to calculate it, it will take some time to calculate what is the value of this particular binary. So this B indicates what? Binary here. Okay, do
binary,
not get confused here. B indicates what? Binary.
bi-
And after whatever we are writing after B is what? A binary value, the bits, individual bits. Understood? Similarly, I can say something like second, that is octal. Okay, let's say b is equals to 0 o, let's say 23, 0 o 23. Are you able to understand what it is? Yes or no? Yes.
no,
What it is? Okay, by seeing this we can't understand it. Okay, yes, if you take pen and paper and if you try start calculating, you will get the answer, but by seeing you cannot understand it, right? Similarly, if I say something like hexadecimal,
hex,
okay, let's say c is equals to, I would go for 0x, okay, 0x FACE, for example, FACE. What it is? No, it is not face. Behind this face there is a value, decimal value. Behind this binary value there is a decimal value. Behind this octal value there is a decimal value. Now how, why we use these kind of thing? See, basically when we try to store a data in particular memory space, that memory space creates the address. Okay, memory space creates the address. Sometimes we use hexadecimal and octal for address, to making the address. Is it clear? This is not part of our things. Okay, we should not take care of these things, but yes, you need to understand it all. Okay, then binary is what? Obviously everyone knows, it is a machine understandable language. Okay, and these type of language or these type of representations are known as what? Low level data. These are known as low level data, and which cannot be understandable by user, or we can say programmers. Okay, now even though these kind of data, if you give it to the Python, second is what? High level.
Well, language.
High level language. Even though I will write something like this, in these programming language, in these programming languages, okay, even though even though we use lower level lower level data representation, okay, representation like binary, octal, and hexadecimal, okay, hexadecimal, high level programming language like Python automatically converts lower level or low level data to high level data, okay, low level data to high level data, which can be easily understandable by the programmer or the end user. Am I clear? Okay. Hmm. Next is, for example, let's say examples are what? Example, let's say it is Python. Okay. Example is what? Python. For example, I'll show you in our Python console as well. Let's say you are writing something like a is equals to 0b, okay, 0b, okay, 0b 10101011 and 001. Are you able to understand it? No. If I print this, see what it is saying. Did I write
Val-
anything? Did I
Value,
write
value,
anything? Did I make any logic here? No. But it is converting the bytecode into what?
value.
Machine, human understandable code. What is human understandable code? This we call it as decimal. We call it as decimal. One thing I forgot to write here. Convert it into what? Lower level data into high level data. That is, sometimes we call it as decimal data. Is it clear? Okay. So even though if I give something like b is equals to 0023, okay, just now we have seen it, okay, let's go for this. We are getting 19 as the answer. These type of numbers what we are getting is known as what? Decimal values. Understood? And these decimal value can easily be understandable by the humans. Even though if you give the same example like c is equals to, let's say, 0x, you can use this x also, this x also. That means upper lower both are same thing. You can do for binary and octal also. So 0 capital B, small b, capital O, small o. Understood? So 0x, let's say you are writing something like FACE, print the C.
Value, decimal value.
Okay, you got the decimal value. How we convert this, basically I will tell you when it comes to integer type of data. Okay, when it comes to integer type of data, I will tell you how to convert this type of value into decimal value. Is it clear? Am I clear, everyone? Yes,
Sir.
online.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So shall we stop it here? Okay, so most probably tomorrow they are going to change the link. So as soon as possible, you try to enroll yourself so that we can go smoothly. Okay, understood? Online, everyone,
Yes, sir.
try to make the contact with the admin department and try to make it possible as soon as early, so that we'll go smoothly and without any fall. What, Shankar?
Yes, sir.
What is your say?
Okay.
Are you able to understand, Shankar?
Yes, sir. Understand.
Okay, fine, good. Okay, thank you so much, guys. So keep attending the class on time, and do not fall behind. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, guys. See you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye bye.